Hi, I'm Lou and this is Lily-Roe. Welcome to another video about little lessons from Lily-Roe, baby wisdom for Forest School. So Lily is 18 months now, and for the last couple of months we're really starting to see her language development come online. And something I've noticed is that, particularly with animals, instead of verbalising the nouns like some of the other words, she tends to use the sound that the animal makes. As in, instead of saying dog, she will go woof, 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 won't you? Woof, woof, woof. And instead of saying sheep, you'll go bah, bah, won't you? And it's like that. Yes, exactly. And if she sees an insect, particularly bees, you'll go bzzz, won't you? And owls, of course, owls, twitteroo, owls, yeah? Twitteroo, see? So this got me wondering whether there's something inherent within humans to communicate with the rest of nature through, in this case, kind of mimicking the noises, the sounds of the animals, but perhaps there are also lots of other ways of communicating with the rest of nature too. And it kind of fits in with thinking about the Biophilia Hypothesis. I was thinking maybe our hunter-gatherer ancestors did have channels of communication with all the other beings around us. And we see that just naturally come from babyhood. Don't, Bubba. So as I understand it, it's no coincidence that young children's books and toys and bedroom walls are covered with animals. Researchers have looked at the response of young children to animals compared to other things, and they've even, I think they must have looked at the eye tracking response in even very young infants, and they are significantly more likely to track an animal than another object, a non-living object. So there's obviously something within our genetics that makes us inherently connected and attracted to other living things, which again is more evidence towards that biophilia hypothesis. Something else I've noticed is with Lily-Roe, it doesn't just stop with animals. So, for example, cars or anything with wheels are broom, brooms, because they make broom, broom sounds. And I guess that's an interesting observation. Like, because she baas at the sheep, is broom brooming at cars. An attempt of communicating with the cars, again through mimicry. I don't know. But it's an interesting, I guess, reflection to think about how the world might be to Lily-Roe at this point in time. And it gets me to think about how perhaps older cultures or indigenous cultures believe that there is spirit in all things, as in the belief system of animism. Animism? I think so. Animism? I think it's animism. Apologies if that's not how you say it. But basically the belief that there is life in everything, that everything has spirit and life running through it. Yes, rather than a collection of dead objects that aren't connected to each other. And that kind of belief is inherent within a lot of land-based, talking of spirits. Yeah, I think there's one over there. Yeah, a lot of land-based belief structures have that underpinning it. And again, seeing Lily-Roe develop, I wonder if that again is just within our DNA, again that kind of ties in with biophilia hypothesis. It's all coming together and it all makes sense. This has also made me think about the limitations of language and particularly, I guess, noun-based languages like English. Apparently, not all languages are noun-based. So as I understand it, for example, the Lakota language in the Sioux Nation, some of the indigenous people of North America continent, they have a verb-based language, which I'm struggling still to kind of get my head around what that must be like. But I guess the underpinnings of it being that there's always actions and motion in everything that is said, rather than separate parts. To me, it sounds like a verb-based language would be much more connective than a noun-based thing. It's almost like the language, I guess, models the belief systems of the peoples, or maybe it's vice versa. Maybe the language creates the belief systems of the peoples. I mean, after all, how do you explore ideas if not with language? And if there are limits to those language, what does that mean in terms of our understanding of the world? So bringing this lesson back to forest school, I guess it's made me think about how we can support learners to explore language and communication, in terms of really trying to nurture those relationships between the learners and the other elements of the natural world. And maybe it's through exploring mechanisms of communication, through mimicking animals and birds and trees, through mimicking sounds that other creatures make, perhaps, you know, trying to embody some of those species so that we kind of build empathy with them. Maybe that could be a really powerful way of building connection and relationship with the land and the creatures and beings within it. Yeah. It's also made me think about the language use. So apparently research has shown that children, when they're out in nature, use 5 times as many words as when they're inside. So being out is a fantastic place for particularly young children to develop their language, skills, and perhaps, playing with words, playing with language, is something that can be done when we're out at forest school. And I guess also acknowledging that sometimes language can be a limiting factor to us exploring things. And I know, particularly in terms of like the emotional side of forest school and helping people with their emotions, sometimes people don't have a language yet to speak with. So I guess as leaders, modelling use of language, modelling of vocabulary, modelling particularly the emotional literacy elements can be really powerful. And also, modelling connection is a key thing of what we do in forest school. And of course, how do we do that? We need to be in connection ourselves. We need to build relationships with the other beings of nature, and have time and space for ourselves out here. So, hope you've enjoyed our little lesson today. Thank you, Bubba, for your little lesson. If you've got any thoughts on this topic, do let us know in the comments section below. If you've enjoyed the video, do give us a thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel so you can join us in the woods again next time. And thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. Nature's beings loves to talk, whether it's woofs and bars or even squawks. Observing and connecting is the key, so you can talk with nature the next time you head to the trees.